Courtney and I were chatting today about topics and stuff, and that's what we want to talk about tonight is really mapping this out early enough so that we're not like, oh my gosh, we talked about it, but we never implemented. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, Courtney and me, 13 of us so far. And I'm sure there's more, but I looked through the posts to see coaches that volunteered, coaches that said they were going to try to jump on the call tonight. So that's a lot of us. So what Courtney and I wanted to do tonight is talk to you guys about if you've been in a Diamond Push group. What did you like? What worked? What pushed you? And let's divide and conquer. Let's talk about topics that we should. I have the Sprint to Sparkle that I feel like people have said they loved, which is great. So let's just start brainstorming.
I think for me, I didn't go Diamond in a push group. Like I had been in push groups and I didn't go Diamond in a push group. And I think for me, what lacked in the groups that I did do was holding me accountable to showing that I was actually doing the things that were being said. So, I mean, we can, like, I've done like the drop the tracker thing, which works for me. I'm very self-motivated. So like that works. But I think for some people, if you're not like a checks and balances thing, like if they know they're going to be like called out for doing something good, maybe they want that recognition. I don't know. I just think some way of like pushing them to like actually do the things rather than just absorb information. I think we're in all of these like information absorbing group. We say this all the time. I want an action oriented group, but like really making it actually an action oriented group instead of an information gathering group.
Everyone loves a gold star.
Right. I mean, like, I think that was what was lacking for me is that it was a group that was presented to me and run by people who were Diamond, and that was great, but there was nothing to take it from, okay, these people did it, now here's how I'm going to duplicate what they have done and do it for myself. That makes sense.
I think that things that worked the best, like I was trying to think back to the most valuable one for me was the Amazing Race. It was like 3 years ago. Now, I don't think any of us want to run one like that because it was like a pay-in, you remove people if they didn't do things, and you guys put together groups across teams. But I'll tell you the things that did work on that is that you had a team. So it's kind of like what I find is that if we just have a drop your tracker, people drop it when it looks good and they don't drop it when it doesn't look good. And so you have to have them accountable to something, and maybe it's like putting those teams together. It sucks because sometimes you get a great team and sometimes you get a not so good team, but at least you're accountable to somebody that's like they're gonna see it, and so that you can own up to, yep, I do this and I don't do that. Because I mean, you know, we all can show it when it looks good. And then the second thing I loved about the Amazing Race was there was, I think, a video every day. And it talked about the training, it talked about the compensation program, how, you know, it went, because think about going back to the basics. If you have an Emerald that just accidentally got to Emerald because you told them to sign people up, they haven't done anything. They haven't watched trainings. They maybe did the 5 videos, and the Amazing Race to me was actual coaches that did YouTube videos, and they weren't, we don't all have to do them. We can just go find like the best video about weak leg, strong leg, maximizing the compensation plan. You know, somebody who took a business from waffling to, you know, rock star. Like those were the ones. And I remember that one being pivotal for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. And Lori and I were saying, like, I was never in a Diamond group. They were offered, but I just was like, I don't have time for that. I was working full time. I was like, I got this. But I love these ideas. And Jennifer, I agree with you, like on the tracker stuff, right? Because for some people that's really motivating. And for other people, like, it's like, I mean, I would be really unmotivated if I had to post my tracker every day. Like, I don't know, it would just like, but that, I know we need to have a level of accountability for people too. But Lori and I were talking too, like we're going to do the 2-week push to Emerald group in our team pages. And that's going to be for everybody, because we know Emeralds, that benefits everybody if they have people going Emerald, right? Like, but I don't think that this is really a group for somebody that just went Emerald the first 2 weeks of March, unless they are somebody like that diamond in the rough that's about to run. Because I don't think any of us were those people that went Emerald, and then was like, give me more and give me a push into a diamond group, right? Like, my fear would be the burnout, the not having the full funnel. Like, we know diamond so much, like it happens when you've been hitting Success Club consistently for a few months and you've got like a good prospect wheel and you've got like a community that you've been connecting with. So kind of just like, I know that's a little bit of a tangent, but I want to, like, we're going to do the Emerald 2 week, where our goal is to just help as many people advance to Emerald as possible. But that graduation to Emerald isn't necessarily an invitation to this group, or at least I specifically cannot think of anybody that I have right now that would fall into that, unless I have some rock star that signs up in the next like week.
Yeah, I mean, we need to think about like the prerequisites to be able to be in this group, because I think it should be across the board. Like, I don't think, I just have this good feeling about this new coach, I'm going to put them in here. No, like, they need to be an Emerald with at least 4 coaches or something. I don't know the answer, but like a brand new Emerald with their mom and their spouse, they don't belong in this group. They have no coaches.
I think the only exception to that would be like, and this is, I think, where it's gonna be hard to have like the black and white, because the only exception to that would be, okay, my coach Sarah she's Emerald with mom and spouse, but she's been hitting Success Club for the last 6 months. And to me, it's like, okay, she just maybe hasn't had the confidence or the knowledge or the training appropriate to present the coaching opportunity, but she's got a full funnel, right? Like, to me, that's somebody that has done the work, as opposed to Katie, who's an Emerald and has never hit Success Club, or really has no vault. She has 180 PV, right? Like, I'm like, okay, this is probably not, I need to get her like in Success Club activity, or at least bringing in new customers every month. If it's not Success Club, like that for me is kind of what I'm looking at. But I do think that we need to be a little consistent so that it is who we have in this group, we're speaking to the same level of person. It doesn't mean everybody's going to go diamond in that 6 or 7 weeks, but the goal is to get them growing their business and with the knowledge they need to get there, by summit or whatever their goal is. Like, I think this should be for anybody that wants to be diamond by that June 4th cutoff for recognition at summit, right? Because like, it's like a lot of time from now. And the harder we make this, the harder it seems for them. But like, again, if they've been hitting Success Club and been doing the general business activities, sometimes it might just be a matter of how they're inviting, or they're too afraid to invite. And that's where we can really help them with that in this group, is give them the confidence to say, like, it's a simple change of wording, right? Like, present the coach sign up and the customer sign up at the same time and see how that changes maybe the dynamic of your organization. But I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but we do want to have, I think, a common profile of who is in this group, right? Because whether we decide to group them, like Jenny was saying, like, I think that that's really kind of a cool idea. And maybe they're assigned to one of us as a cohort, as like a check-in. I don't know, just as an idea, but like, that wouldn't be really, it's kind of like Team Cup, right? Like, we've all got these Team Cup teams, and I've got some that are crushing it and some that are not answering messages already. But those people don't quite fit this profile, right? Like, those were some new coaches that are probably totally overwhelmed and just checked out. But for this, these should be people that are like, are you willing to maybe hop on a call every week with your cohort leader just for like 20 minutes to check in and just like offer like advice or support, like giving that extra love and attention. And I don't know.
I think having black and white like requirements is really hard, because I think even us as diamonds in this group are all at different levels of diamond. So I think that like maybe what we were saying on the mastermind call on last Monday about having a certain number, like each of us bringing a certain number rather than a certain requirement, might be a better thing, because my emeralds might be at a different place than Lori's or Missy's emeralds, or whatever that might mean. So I think if we as a collective group establish what we want the mindset of the person to be and the work ethic of the person to be, I think that is probably more beneficial than having like a needs to hit Success Club this many times or needs to do XYZ in order to get in.
Yeah, I love that, because half the battle is mindset, right? like if we can just like get it up here with them, the other stuff happens. So yeah, I think I like that.
I think they should have had to have hit Success Club in February, though. If this group is starting mid-March, like you better have hit, right? Like, I mean, you're talking about that before. They should definitely be emeralds. I think we need to have a few requirements and then come up with a number. Like we can each bring 5 coaches to this. Because if there's 14 of us and we each have 5 coaches, we can make 14 teams of 5 because that will be so easy. We literally just drop one coach in each team and boom, there's our pods. Like Jenny was saying, that's your team. We just make the teams and we say, here, this is your check-in team. You guys are responsible for whatever it is we tell them they have to do weekly. Because I agree with you, Jennifer, like they have to have something to show us or else it's just going to become an information collecting group. And Jenny, I remember that amazing race, but that was so much work to put together. Like I wasn't even responsible for that. I loved that group. It was awesome. And I loved the teams. Some teams were great. Some teams were not so great. But I think because the teams that weren't so great were because that group wasn't as specific as we're making this. I think that was more of like, oh, sure, I'll do a diamond push group. Sure, here's, $20 or whatever it was. And this is more like we are picking and choosing the 5 that we want to bring.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be a hard set on 5. Like I'm like honestly thinking, I don't know that I have 5 that are ready for this right now. And I don't want to bring somebody in because like you guys, we are always going to believe in people way more than they believe in themselves, right? But like I have done so many of these groups that like some of my coaches have never recovered from it. Meaning like the burnout, right? Or they felt inadequate or they felt like whatever this crap is, right? And like these are like whenever Lori's like, let's do a push group. And this was my suggestion and idea. But like when she said, I was like, no, because I'm traumatized a little bit from some of my prior experiences. But again, they were the wrong people. Like they weren't the right, like I wanted them to be diamond, not for me, for them, because that's what they said they wanted. But they weren't willing to, like, I knew they weren't going to show up and do the work, right? So I don't know that we want to put like, I think we need to, if we're in this group, we all need to bring at least somebody with us, right? Like if we're all going to be leading, because you want to work with somebody that you're helping, but make it be somebody that is motivated and driven. And for me, my message is, this is what the goal is to help you get as close to diamond, right? Like would I love for them all to go diamond in 7 weeks? Absolutely. But I also know that for some people, it just takes a little longer. And the point being that we're still on the road to diamond. Like, we're not just going to like, okay, now I'm done coaching because this thing's too hard.
And I don't think it has to be 5, like, oh, you have to bring 5, but like, I think we need to put a limit. Like,
oh, yeah. I don't think anybody should bring more than 5 people.
Right.
Because let's think about it. Like because if this goes really well and we get a really great template, we can do it again, like after Summit. We could do it again at the end of the year. Like I think, 3 times a year is probably more than any of us can probably really take. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like it is a lot of work and it's consuming and it's fun and it's exciting when it all kind of flushes out the way it's supposed to flush out. But if we create this like excitement and culture, the other people are gonna be like, I can't wait for you to do that again. And those that are going to go diamond are going to go diamond anyway. So like they may not really need a group to get there, right? Yeah, I don't think we should be 5. Sorry.
Like go back to like basics with some people. I think a lot of times we analyze our people and think they are a certain way. And I just think all of our brains are engineered very differently. And like for me, for example, technology really did scare me and it slowed me down. But once I got bits and pieces, and a lot of times I learned stuff from like other coaches on social media, it helps me flow a little bit faster. And I felt like being at the conference in LA, I noticed a lot of the top coaches give their understudies a lot of information and a lot of things that take time. And I feel like some of our people just get stuck on the wrong things. that are such time sucks, and that if we gave them some things and some tips, they might jam a little faster. And I was completely different. I was the one who decided, because of the push group, to go diamond and then to try and push to 1-star. I was the complete oddball, because a lot of people get scared of that, and I was totally fine being an emerald. It didn't really matter to me, but it was until I got in the push group, it totally changed my whole life, and I haven't stopped since. So I don't know. Everyone's going to get something different out of it, and I don't think we should project what they're going to get out of it. I think our goal is to help them. Let's pour into them. Let's break down some basic, big subjects and see what they do with it. And I also think it would behoove us to find out why they feel stuck, what's not working for them, so we can reverse engineer it for them. Some people are fine with inviting, some people hate it. So we got to find a way to weave it so that everyone gets something, but maybe power hours where they can share information might be helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I was talking to Courtney before this, and I think something that I'm going to do when I do pick my 5 or however many I think can handle this group is make a form. Like, you know, I want you to do this, fill this out for me with some information. Like Missy said, like, where are you stuck? What do you think you need help with throughout these 6 to 7 weeks to help you go diamond? What are some of your strengths? What are some of your weaknesses? And really to make it feel like this is a serious thing, like an application, you know, like you're going to apply for this. And I was telling Courtney this earlier. It's kind of like when you apply to college and you apply to your safe school, and then you apply to your schools that you really wish that you would get into. You put way more into your colleges that you really want to get into, and your safe school, maybe you half-ass that essay. Oh, I guess I'll go there and I'll do, you know, the best I can. But if you get into that really good school, you're going to bust your butt. You're going to do awesome. So I feel like if we create something like that, that makes them feel like this is, Courtney's like, no, not a form.
No, I'm fine with forms. I don't want to put a form out there for all of my PS coaches.
No.
Like, I want to ask a few people and give them a form, because I do not want to read forms from some people that I've been reading the same form for 7 years almost.
I might make a form and give it to like 8 coaches and pick like 4. Because I know the same coaches that are going to fill the form out, just like you said, year after year after year, and do nothing. So I'm going to pick I'm sending you this form because I think you would be great for this. Fill it out. Let me know what you think. You know, I'm only picking X amount of coaches to do this with me.
Even if you use the form as like for those who don't have that many people that they're weeding through, and they still want to figure out those like soft spots, those tough spots, even if you use it as like I have picked you, now you need to fill this out so that your experience is personalized to you. Yes. Like, why wouldn't you fill it out? Like, why would I not? I'd be doing myself a disservice to not tell you what I'm struggling with so that I can learn about what I'm struggling with. Like, I would have killed for someone to be like, hey, Jennifer, you've been working your business. I don't understand what's going on. Like, that didn't happen. I would have loved to say, like, this is what I need help with. And I feel like anybody who's going to be in this group is going to want to say, like, this is where I need help. And that's just going to give us content to run the group too. I feel like it's kind of like a mutually beneficial thing for everyone.
So maybe we should create those forms and start dispersing them to the people we'd like to fill them out, because that might really help us like create some great content. You know, like I was just wrote in my notebook here, like topics like for us to discuss tonight. But, you know, I think we can talk about what are the things that we think they need to hear. But you're right. Like, what do they need help with? Like Lori and I just got off a call before this, and I was thinking some of those things would be so valuable in a group like this, like just creating the systems, like Streak or whatever the email system is that they're using, which are things that I still struggle with at the level that I'm at. So I'd imagine like a new coach, if we could kind of, not a new coach, but a new diamond, like could you imagine if you could systemize that for them this early on, how much easier it will be, especially as their business grows? Because we know that's a pain point. It's a pain point for me.
Yeah, and if we wanted to create a form, we could easily duplicate it and all use the same form and then just, you know.
Yeah, and just kind of figuring out what we want. But I think we're on the same page here in terms of making sure we get the right people in this group, making sure it's a group that delivers valuable content to teach them. I think we need to do a lot of mindset stuff in here. We all know that most of this business truly is just believing that you're worthy and that you can do it, right? Or at least that's sort of what I feel. Most of my things that when my coaches sort of hit a struggle point, it has nothing really to do with what exactly they're doing. It's their belief in what they're doing.
Well, a lot of times, again, I'm going back to the way that everyone learns a little differently. Like, so for me, I like somebody to show me how to do something and then I'm done. Some people like to do their own research. And if I have to look at YouTube like for 30, 40 minutes, it's just not going to work for me. So I think, again, and I say this in all of my relationships, when you go back to the foundation and back to the simple basics, you can build so much faster than throwing a bunch of different things, because I would say every single coach has to use the same word, which is overwhelmed. I think they truly do feel overwhelmed. A lot of times we interpret it as being lazy or not lifting. And now I'm not talking about coaches that have been in the business, 4 years and still at the same level. That's a little different, but people that really want to advance and they're just sort of stuck. And we got to find how to unstick them. And I know that's kind of the challenge of this group, but again, the push group that Lori did, the live people that went in live, again, we're talking about a variety of different people, different education backgrounds, different work experiences, some corporate, some stay-at-home moms, some have more time, some have less. It's hard to teach to the masses, and we have to try and kind of bring it back down with like big subjects, but make it basic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that makes perfect sense. So I think pairing it with, of course, like the track, because that's the thing. It's like the groups I've been in where it's like, post your tracker. Okay, that's great. But like, that's the end product, right? But like, let's teach you how to fill out all those boxes in a way that truly make an impact, right? Like, I mean, I could send 10 invites a day. That doesn't mean my business is moving forward.
Right. And I think something that I like that you said, Missy, is that group was Lori, Laura, Amber, Haley, Morgan, and me. None of us are the same person. None of us run our businesses the same. And I know I just signed a new coach who really wants to rock her business, who's 45 years old and has 3 kids. She does not relate to how I run my business, right? So she likes me as a human. We relate on an autoimmune level. We share the same way. But we don't run our businesses the same. There's just no way. We are 2 totally different people. Like, even if we wanted to be the same person, we couldn't be. So I think that's the beauty of having this collaborative effort, is that by splitting up who's sharing what, like, everyone is going to relate to someone, whether or not they're your upline coach or not.
Well, and I think the hardest thing that people struggle with, that we need to help them with, is what is your story? Like, I was working with Kaylee Crow for a while, and she was so sort of embarrassed that she didn't have a college degree and she was a teen mom. And she's been so protective of that bubble. And I'm like, Kaylee, I'm sorry. That is your story. And I think you need to open up about that story. You will attract similar women in their life that feel like they are shamed. They can't go to cocktail parties and drop certain information because they didn't go to college or whatever it may be. But those are the people that you need to be screaming to let them know they're valuable, they're worthy, they are human beings and that deserve everything in this world, just like we do. And it took her forever to get there. But once you own who you are and you become authentic to yourself, this business becomes incredibly simple. It just does. But I think people get hung up on who they are. And I think that's why people don't advance. There are people that have been sitting here for years, but they keep changing who they are because they're either don't know, they don't know how to tell the story. So I think when I say go back down to the basics, I mean the basics of who you are and what you want to attract. Because your tribe is naturally going to come to you. They just will. I think people come to me because they want to be happy. They think it's contagious, some kind of whatever I have, they want a little piece of it, and I'll give it to them. And so I can attract a bunch of different groups of people because mine is joy. Who doesn't want joy? But you got to figure out who you are in order to run this business. And I think that's most of everyone's starting block issues. They can't get out of the gate. They just can't get out of the gate.
I think they can't get out of the gate because, like someone was saying earlier, it's this, like you said, finding your story and the belief, and like putting the wall up to all the people that you're worried about their feelings or what they're going to think of you or the naysayers. It's getting over that. And in the beginning, as a 3-month coach, 6-month coach, even year coach, you have to prove yourself. You have to show up every day, every month, oh my gosh. And like, it's easier for us to be like, well, I've been doing this for 5 years. Like, I'm not stopping. And I think that that's really something that we need to hone in on in that first week, finding your story and like believing. Like, we were all there too. I've had nights where I've cried. I've had, awful comments on Instagram and, best friends that have thought I was crazy. And even my own mother thought I was nuts and made fun of me with Amber at the Christmas table. Like, all those things, those stories that we need to share that they need to hear. Just like when they see our transformation picture, when they can't believe we were 50 pounds heavier because we're showing up like this every day. It's the same thing. I think that's the whole belief thing. And maybe we need to find a personal development book to like get them like that, get over.
I think it's like a framework. Like, we need to start the framework.
Yeah.
Like, and so here I'm going to like take a jump. So I think everybody gets into this business and wants it to be like selling makeup or I don't know, whatever the other stuff is, leggings. On Monday, you post this. On Tuesday, our new releases of legging prints come out. On Wednesday, you do this. And on Thursday, they want it to be a bottled up, this is what we do. And I think a lot of us were not trained that way, but you kind of went out that way, and you can't use social media that way anymore. And because I've been in this business now for over 4 years, and I've been doing what I thought was the accepted path of, I build this business to an acceptable income, then I leave my corporate job, and then I do it full time. And that's not what I basically did, what other coaches said they did. And I thought it was going to make me happy and fulfill me, and it's not. And so I think we need to start this out with a framework, which is like, step 1 is what Mitzi's saying. Figure out your story. Think about the things that, make you unique. Not right now, honey. Make you unique. What could you talk for hours about? Blah, 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 blah. Those are your buckets that you're going to post and share about. And then the next step is like, let's look at the framework for how you're going to share that, because we can't say the same thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for every single person, because your story is different. And so I think like if we take it a step back like that and talk about building it from the basics would be really, really valuable.
Yeah, I was typing in there. We could create a simple, maybe a simple framework for them to follow, but I agree. Like we aren't a business to post stock photos or our, weekly releases or we pride ourselves on not being that company. And it is, because there are a lot of coaches to choose from, and you're going to choose the one who you can connect with and relate to, right? Because that's the person you're going to trust. But we could create like a social media posting calendar for them. That's very simple. Like Lori, I'm even thinking we could even take what Michelle has shared with us, like very simple, but it allows for them, they have to be creative with it. Sometimes I see like some of these coaches using the Ashley Shaw stuff, which is just like so scripted. And as soon as I see it, I'm like, you know exactly what it is. Because it's like the same recipe, it's, and it doesn't really fit them. It seems so out of place. Like you're like, what? This is so left field. But if we give them simple prompts to help them create their story, because I think everybody does better with a prompt, right? Like 3 things that you start your day with, like 3 things that help you start your day every day. And they don't have to be about coaching in this. Like a lot of people, for us, it is, because it's a big part of our life. But it could be like, Missy, you could be, a smile, kissing my husband, whatever those 3 things are that would connect with your people you're trying to relate to. It doesn't have to be energize, workout, we're not trying to just sell them that. We're trying to sell them on the lifestyle.
Well, the interesting thing that we learned that Carl talked about was we're actually not a transactional company, we're a transformation company, which is very different. And I think a lot of these new coaches come in with the mindset of selling, 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 and it's really not. It's sharing, sharing, sharing. So we have to get to the basics of them understanding how to share their stories. And my issue always was in the beginning was the how, not the why, the when, and how, it was how. But again, technology really did frighten me. And I feel like the thing that I can share in this group to other people is basically some tips. And like, I know this sounds silly, but I go back to this all the time. When I saw one of the coaches shared how she was trying to get action shots, and instead of jumping a million times and landing that shot, she videoed herself, slowed it, script. That saved me hours, and I didn't know how to do that. So if we can get things in a nice little box and wrap it in a bow for some of them, I think they're going to jam a little bit faster, and it's going to give them more confidence, because I think they're very bright and they really want this. I just think, again, it's moving them from this one area to this one area. This part in between is incredibly complicated, and we have to break it down into pieces so that they don't feel overwhelmed. And I think a lot of times we say the belief in them, I think they believe in themselves, or they probably wouldn't have signed up in the first place. But getting them from point A to point B, that's where the magic is. And we just got to figure out how do we connect that for them. And I do think with all the brilliant minds on this call, they're going to get a bunch of different techniques and different tips and tools. And I feel like, and I'm going to talk about this on the call tomorrow night, you know, we don't have to do 7 great things. We need to do 3 really good things. And I feel like, again, they keep chasing things and seeing people do this and that. You just have to stay in your lane and figure out the things that you're really good at and stay true to yourself, and the magic will come. Like you're saying, being authentic to yourself. Don't make people look at yourself and go, that is not her. That's just so forced. So we have to figure out for them how to make it more natural.
Yeah, I love all that. I have some coaches that were in one of the Sprint to Sparkles group that still use like this. I don't know, some of you might, and it's just like you just mind dump some things for each day of the week, and they still print it out. And some of them still use the trackers from Sprint to Sparkle, and it's really just the good old, yeah, look, there she is. So something like that with like a blank generic calendar so they can set themselves up for success. Like the first week could be that, like, okay, you are setting your next 6 weeks up for success. Like this week we are planning the next 6 weeks. First, let's get really comfortable with our story. Let's talk about how to share on social media, what you should share, why you should share it. Put your blinders on, stop following all the other coaches. Like you said, building from the basics, a posting calendar of some sort. I loved when we did Sprint to Sparkle and it was like, okay, print out 4 of these, print out, you know, 1 of these. And they created, like Missy did, a book. And it was like, okay, this is going to take me through this whole 6 weeks, and this is where I should be, and this is what I should be doing. What do we think it should be? I mean, I don't know if I want to create something that's like a prompt and then all of our coaches are posting the same thing on Monday. It's like,
well, I mean, I guess it doesn't
motivate me.
What if we, like Jennifer said, give them a calendar, but what if we gave them like a list of like prompts they could use? You know, like if we had a list of, I don't know, 15, 20 different prompts that they could plug in wherever they wanted to on their own marketing plans, right? Like they have to figure out what's going to work for them.
I use a content bingo card that I just wrote out myself. That's like, it gives me ideas, like when I'm feeling totally, you know, writer's block, and I have it in my Rise Up. I put it like, because I now don't need to use it, but like I just have, so I can check them off as I use them. And like, so there's like about like, what do I have them here? Post ideas that are general. And then I have team page ideas too, because I want to keep my team page up. So we wouldn't need those. what are the benefits of a challenge group, and what are the things I love about the business opportunity. So I can be like, oh, okay, like, I don't know what to write about today. Okay, so I can either look at, okay, what's a pain point that this solved? You know, how is my life improved? Or what's a personal hobby or fun fact about me? Like, just, so some days it just triggers you to write something, or on Sundays, you know, meal prep. And so like they could do something like that where it's not a scripted calendar, but it's a idea generator.
Yeah, I like that. And Gina said she has one too, like a memory
Good.
jogger kind of thing. Because I think it isn't, sometimes they do need ideas. I mean, sometimes I need ideas too, right? It's but yeah, so when you give the script, sometimes it doesn't sound very authentic to them, or that can be like, for some people I think that's helpful, and other people it's a little paralyzing because they're like, oh, like I don't know how to change this or make it sound differently. But if we gave them something as simple as that, like, guys, listen, every week you should be posting like 3 to 5 of these things. Like maybe if like, almost like if it's even like my personal journey, other stories, coaching, and like there's 3 columns, like choose 3 of these to post each week. And then in between you're weaving in the rest of your life, right? Because we don't want their whole feed to be cultivated by just Beachbody, right? Like, I think that's always sort of the struggle, is how do you balance still sharing and using social media as we always did, and also still weaving in what we do as coaches. I think, now that we have stories, I think that really helps a lot, because most of that can go over there. But I don't know. Maybe that's just a struggle for me. I was like, oh, I need to do an invite, but I want to share a picture of my kid and my dog. You know?
This is the thing. I think that's very important, Courtney. I think you have to start looking at your business as a CEO, and we need to treat these women as future CEOs of their companies. And they do need to start being well aware of like what's going on around them, which is analyzing your own data. Like when I do a post, it never fails about a shake or workout, I get very little likes. But my God, if I put my damn dog up there, it blows up.
Right.
Or if I put my ugly son up there, oh my God, they love him. They think he's awesome. And I'm like, he's such a pain. But other people, so we have to be able to explain to them that it's not all or nothing. It's about your life. And the second you cross the line and discover, I don't care what other people think of me, as a true way to live your life, the sky's the limit. Because you really shouldn't even look back at your post after you post it and analyze, oh my God, did I say the right word? Did I do? Who the hell's got time for that? It is basically you post because it felt good on your heart and you let it go. And then you get inspired to do something the next day. And then you have to, we're not just Beachbody coaches. We're wives, we're mothers, we're career-oriented people, we're daughters, we're so many things. So we can't be one-dimensional, because that's just boring. So, and people just don't want to keep hearing about Beachbody. They want you need to show them the side effects of it. So like we're like drug reps that are trying to promote a new drug, and we're going to tell you about all the good things. It's just better if you show them. It's just better if you explain how happy you are today, and this is why I'm so happy. This is what's happening. I recently had to talk about my seasonal weather disorder, and I know Jenny's laughing at me and Jackie would die, but like 50-degree weather takes me down. And like today, I couldn't have been happier. It was 73 degrees, but that's the reality of understanding your health. And it's so much more than selling a shake and selling a workout program. It is truly about living your best life. And these are the things that you need to be doing to live your best life. Habits, the way you treat people, the way you speak to yourself. There's so much content out there that I think, again, once we figure out their stories, I think we need to take them on a journey. We have to hold their hands and hold their hearts and walk them through this amazing and come out with some really interesting relationships on this journey.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
All right, so the Enneagram 3 in me, let's get to work. Now we talked about all this, so let's put this together or talk about next steps, action steps. What can we do to start really doing this?
So I think we create a form so we can deliver it to the people we are wanting to join this group with us, with some good questions on there that maybe talk about, you know, where do you feel like you are seeing success in this business? Where do you feel like is hard or struggling? Like, I think we need to ask, I think those are good questions. You know, we don't have to say hard or struggling, but you guys know what I'm saying. That would help us have an idea of what to talk about. And I mean, while we can probably imagine what a lot of those things would be on there, if we do deliver the content that speaks specifically to the pain points they shared, they'd be like, this is what you told us you needed. So this is what we're showing up on and like delivering big for you.
So we need to create this form and get it out like kind of sooner than later so that we can, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think
We
we want
obviously need to start
Yeah.
thinking about our people.
to.
Dana, question about Emerald. We talked about requirements for the group, and it really needs to be, it's hard to be black and white with this, but I think that you need to use your own discretion. Like, I wouldn't pick a coach that just went Emerald last week because they signed up their mom and their spouse, and they didn't even hit Success Club this month, or, you know, they just kind of started out, because do they really have enough? Unless they spoke to you and said, you know, I really want to rock this business and give me all the things, like, right? So discretion.
Yeah,
But
you got it. They definitely need to be an Emerald coach. But again, it's like, for me, I'm looking at somebody who has already been inviting, has been connecting, has been showing up in challenge groups, probably already has a transformation from our programs. Like, only because I don't know. I struggle with pushing somebody too fast into the business side of things before I've honored their own transformation too. But you'll know your people better than we will. So
I might put it out on my team page now, because we're going to have the Emerald group in March. Because I had someone that's not even Emerald yet, so that I want to be in. I'm going to tell them that they have to be that you have to achieve Emerald, and that my prerequisite's going to be, I want to see their business activity trackers as a prerequisite for getting in the group, because if they don't know what that is, they don't deserve to be in the group, I would think. So, and then it'll also give them the push that through Team Cup and through the first 2 weeks of March, you need to show up that way and hit Success Club in February, probably.
yeah. I mean, you want them, and even if, like, I'm thinking, I've got a few that have been like at Success Club 4, but they've got some good volume. Like, they're inviting a lot of people at Beachbody On Demand or other things. Like, I may not use Success Club as the only indicator, but I want for them to have some people in their funnel, because I know that this is a group where if they don't sort of see wins, whatever they define as wins for themselves, kind of quickly, they sort of disengage, right? Like, if it seems too hard, or it seems like the comparison trap is real, like, being mindful of that. So anyway, I know that was a long roundabout, Dana, but really your discretion, right? Like, we want for them to be ready to go Diamond, if not in the next 7 weeks, over the next 3-ish months, right? Like, who is somebody that's going to be Diamond by Summit? Like, that for me is really what I'm looking at. Like, who's willing to do the work, who's already shown they do the work, who has a good solid foundation of relationships built. So
Instead of reinventing the wheel, Lori and Courtney, can we just use what y'all have done in the past that have worked really well, and then kind of fine tune that? Or are we starting completely fresh?
well, I mean, I guess this is kind of where we need, like, I think all of us have probably been part of like multiple Diamond groups that have all looked very different. Like, I know Dana went Diamond in a Diamond group, but looked very different than Sprint to Sparkle. I mean, I don't think we need to necessarily reinvent the wheel. I think we need to take pieces of what really worked and bring those together. But like, Missy, I love what you were saying about making this a place where, you know, we're taking things that seem really complicated to you and making them so stupid simple that you're like, whoa, like the light bulb goes off and then you're ready to run. Like, we take away that barrier that seemed really challenging and hard. Because I've been part of Diamond groups where it was as much like, it was drop your tracker. Well, okay, great. People are doing that. But like, or, you know, like I said, I can invite 10 people a day. Am I actually connecting and make relationships? I don't know. Maybe not. So I don't know if this is a place for us to like really share our strength zones and partner up and talk about the piece of this business that is really the backbone, which is that relationship part, right?
I almost think like we need to almost start from scratch with this group. and like use things we've used in the past, but really recreate this. Like it's going to take all the pieces from all the things and start over. So like, we're not using the word sprint to sparkle. We're going to make a new one of these. We're going to make a new whatever. I think we should just use the good old fashioned business activity tracker that Carl and the crew made. Like, I don't think we need to make anything. We can come up with a fun name, maybe make a few things like a content calendar, but we use the business activity tracker and the Rise Up planner, because the people I pick better be in the Rise Up Institute. Like if they're not already in there, you know what I mean? So like, I don't want to recreate anything or make anything, or the only thing I'm making is a form. That's it. Like, what do you guys think about that? Because I just feel like the things we have weren't super great. We're picking and choosing things from I think the next time we meet, we need to get serious and we need to create the content and the 6 weeks and map it out and lay it out and know exactly. So like before then we need to create the form and get the form out. I know it's mid-February. Really, it's almost the end of February at this point. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, because I like that. I work really well when we have, here are the 12 things that we want to share. I take thing 2 and 9 and I can work on them and nail them. And everybody else takes their things. That makes me feel really good when we can do that ahead of time. So I would love to get the form out quickly and build our framework the next time.
If we've got 14 people and this is a 7-week group and 2 people took each week and you worked together and we divided the subjects into the order that we think they should be and really planned it, and you could get together with your other coach for the week or however we decide to do it, I think like Jenny said, like, and giving them like a to-do list, like week 1 is going to be this week, like a checklist. Get ready, guys, because you're going to learn all this stuff. So I think that that's what we should do, is create our forms. And I don't know if you just want to create one and then we'll duplicate it. I don't know if you want to finish creating that form tonight. Like, I wrote down name, where are you seeing success? Where are you struggling? Like, what else should we have on this form? Because I could easily create the form and then we can just duplicate it. You can just, it's the same form. You guys know how to do that.
Yeah,
And then the next time
we can probably, I don't know, we can probably create it how we want it to be too, what we want to say on it.
Yeah.
The point is that we want to make sure we know what is it that they need to learn. While we can sit around and probably assume what they need, let's ask them and come together with this information and plan it. Because yeah, if there's 7 weeks and there's 14 of us and we're each taking, like 2 of us can break up and take up the weeks, but there's probably going to be not necessarily 7 different topics to cover. It might only be like 3 that are stretched out. Like social media in general is like a big top, like that's not necessarily something you want to squeeze into like 1 week. Like that carries over.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
relationships or like effective challenge groups. Like, I know that sounds so basic, but like that to me is where my coaches are falling short, that aren't moving forward, right? Like they're not doing those things well or at all.
Yeah, I think that social media definitely needs to be like an area where it's like 3 weeks worth. Like the first week is like figuring out what your story is, creating your content that you're going to share, putting it into a calendar. And then another week can be like stupid little tips and tricks and how to use Instagram and stories. And like Missy said, with that awesome thing that she figured out that, maybe I thought was common sense, but not everybody, So I think that on the next call, after we gather the information from these forms, figuring out what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, I think that we can come up with the content for the group and then divide and conquer, and hopefully get the rest of the 14 coaches that said they wanted to help run this, and maybe some others that didn't realize they had to comment or whatever. If you know anyone else in the group that wasn't on tonight or whatever, I did kind of try to write down everybody's names. But yeah, what else?
I just had a thought just for a placeholder. I want to say it before I forget. One of the most effective groups I ever ran was a social media tough love group. And we asked the coaches to post their stuff. And then we would comment to coaches that we were doing. We would comment on like, great this, or take this out, or do this, or go this direction, or your picture's too dark, or your blah, 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 blah. It was brilliant. So maybe we could just have a album that's always there that they can post any time of the 12-week group. That's social media. I mean, maybe tough love isn't the right word, feedback, but that they can post, hey, look at that. I'm going to give that some likes over there, Missy. I see your son. You love that. Her son just popped in. But like, so that they could always have a place where they're like, listen, my dog. But anyway, that they can get feedback so that we can say like, hey, you're, whatever.
Yeah, I think like during that week, it should be like a constructive criticism, like an audit, like snap a picture of your Instagram page with the first 6 things. Cause if it's all selfies of your face, you're not doing it right, and I'm going to help you. Like, this is what we're here for. We're here to give constructive criticism. So in 6 weeks, when we ask you to snap that pic again, it's going to be amazing. Like Angie Bellemere said today on the National Wake Up Call, she tweaked a few things. She started talking more about things she actually likes rather than things she thought she should be posting. Like Missy said, like, you follow all these top coaches and all of a sudden you become them, but you're not getting the success they're having because you're pretending to be them. Just be yourself and figure out what makes you you. And I think our coaches struggle with that. I think our children struggle with that. I think everyone in life struggles with that, right? And once you figure that out, the figure outable, everything is figure outable, right, Courtney?
Yeah, that book has actually been like, I don't know, it like came to me randomly, but it's an easy listen. It's been good though.
You know what? I think that's a good idea if we all had the same personal development book that we think might work for them and we all have it. And it's kind of like a book club a little bit where there's homework assignments where you read certain things and we almost have to ask them, what did you learn this week from this chapter and how are you applying it to your business center? I mean, I think we need to be true mentors to these ladies, and a mentor would be giving you information to help you grow. I think we have to really pour into them. Because when you look at these top coaches that presented this, whatever at LA, how are they producing 15 and 16 diamonds and keeping it at that level? They are doing something with their coaches. That is a given. There is something that they're doing with them to keep them going, whatever they're pouring into them. I just think that we need to figure out some stuff there. And I think maybe personal development is so huge. It's just so huge.
Should we make them, this is such a good one. Like, it talks about coaching.
The only thing I don't love about that book is it's very traditional network marketing. Like, I like it, but like whenever I have my coaches read that, they're like, okay, great. So I have phone calls all set up for us for third party. Like she teaches you to get on the phone with your upline and like prospect them. And not to say that that's not something you can do, but that's my only thing. I think it's great, but if it's read literally, it's very like host parties. It's very traditional network marketing, which is just so not kind of what we are. That's my only hang up with it. I think the content is great because we know it, but every time I do it, people are like, okay, so when she talks about third-party tools, we need to be ready with all the third-party tools for them. See what I'm saying?
It's so funny because like I read this book and that part doesn't stick out to me.
I only know because then my coaches were like, well, like in the beginning when she talks about, it's like chapter 2, which she say it's, she talks about, okay, so you have a prospect, then she teaches you to get your upline on the phone with them together and sell them. And I think that that's a strategy that works great, but how did that person then learn, like I don't want to be on the phone all day with my coaches prospects. We do sneak peek groups for us. Like we have to kind of teach them, okay, well, here's what you invite to. Like we don't really do all these phone calls, but we have webinars and we have sneak peeks. And so you need to know what this group is. Yeah, the 3-way calls. So, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that is very traditional network marketing, like filling a room full of people and selling to them. Like that's how Beachbody was built, right? Like with the founding coaches. But so anyway, that's my only drawback with that book. But I mean, again, I'm probably interpreting it way literally, but we just need to be prepared. If we want to use that book, we need to be prepared to say, here are the third-party tools. We can make a unit. Like here's the third-party tools. Here's the sneak peek links. Like here's where you go. Cause like that that overwhelmed me last time because all my coaches, I was like, well, I'm glad you're reading it, but no.
Chapter 6, not 2, by the way.
Okay,
But it's
well.
funny because you always say that and I don't remember it because I think I just like brushed over it because I'm like, I'm not getting my prospects on a call with my coach. Like
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, we
when I read it, that's probably what-
webinars, but we don't do it like, you know, I don't
So
know.
maybe we need like a newer version of this. Like if you guys could think about like.
Yeah, Stories That Stick is really good though too, Missy said. That's a great one.
I would love to reread that. Yeah, I mean, this is from 2016, so.
Yeah, and it's again, it's really good stuff. I just think we are very different. Like we need a Beachbody version of that book, you know, because that's Roden and Fields, which is really similar to, I mean, they post the stock images with, you know, I mean, it's just a different business.
Let's
to
do it. Let's do
Have them
Stories
bring
That
their
Stick.
own personal development book to the format and then let us know what they read and how they're applying it to their business centers this week or something like that. Do we let them be more individualized, but they have to come with a personal development book that they're reading and they are applying? Because again, you know, I'm not a huge Rachel Hollis person, but you know, when she said, you know, knowledge is power, it's not really, it's applied knowledge is where the power is. So unless these books are great, but you got to apply them to something. And so maybe their homework is, what are you doing to level up based on what you're reading?
I think Build to Last is really great, but I think our coaches need more of that, like figuring out themselves. Less of a business, even though this is a diamond push group. I think that the coaches that are in here need that belief and that stories that stick and that, I don't know.
Kendra was doing a book club. I saw she was sharing about it. I don't know what the details of that were, but I wonder if she's doing it again. Like you got to get on calls with her. Like, but again, I don't know if we want to make this more stuff they have to do, right?
But it would be cool to do Stories That Stick. I mean, most people have it already. Most people are following her. She is coming to Summit, right? That's awesome. Like, if we have coaches that don't have the book and are like, oh, I really don't want to invest in it, we could buy it for them. Like, I believe in you. I'm asking you to be in this group. You want to be in it. Like, this is my gift for you if you don't have it. Amazon that shit in 2 days. And that could be at your own discretion, you know, like that could be your gift. That could be your gift to them. If you only have 2 coaches, like send them the book with a little note that says, you know, this is the book. Like we have to vote on this. If this is the book that we agree that we want to, you know, I'd love to read it again. I'd love an excuse to have to read this again because I'd love to read it with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great book. And I usually try to steer away from like, You Are a Badass or Girl Stop Apologizing. Like, I think those books are great, but I don't think that those are personal development. I think those are like personal development, but not like applicable to your business development. You know, like those should be read in conjunction with like Stories That Stick will help you with your social media sharing. Or if we do Get Over Your Damn Self, it helps them with all the pieces of network marketing. But I'm always hesitant to be like, I don't know, like Girl Wash Your Face to me is a book that I'm reading on my nightstand, but it's not my business reading book, personally.
How long is Stories That Stick?
It's not too long. It's maybe like,
Is it in soft cover yet?
no.
My thought was, if this group is 7 weeks long, Built to Last is really short. So if you do Stories That Stick first, so that they can find themselves, find their story, find who they are, how to share that, and then you go into Built to Last, which is now take that and let's make a business around who you are. I think that could be really applicable if, I mean, this book is going to take me 4 days to read. Like,
yeah, it's quick.
I'm on day 3 right now, and it's short. So I think that if you start with Stories That Stick and you teach them, and then you go into, okay, so now here's a more business related book, that might not be a bad idea either.
Yeah, Stories That Stick is in 3 parts. So if it's a 7-week, 3 parts, 2 weeks to read each part, that's 6 weeks.
And she's really easy on audio too, like the
Yes.
audio listen. I have both, but like I listened to it more than I actually read it. And it was, I want to say it's like 8 hours of listening. So it's really not that much. Think about how much time people spend in their cars, you know? kind of
I
missing
mean,
that.
I love that idea. We could do stories that stick. We could do a prize or something for Build to Last. We could buy a bunch of them and send them out and say, you know, for the last week of this group, we're going to read this book, and, you know,
That's a real short.
one of the teams could win it. If we team them up, one of the teams could each win a copy of it, because that's an inexpensive book.
Yeah, that's a really quick read too. All right, it's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Let's
Okay. You guys are awesome. This is so great. I feel really good about this. Let's plan to have this again next Monday so we can knock out. So get your forms ready and sent out by like Wednesday, Thursday to your prospects for this group. Do we have like a recording secretary that wants to put this out to the other coaches that weren't here, that want to be in, like, how do we want to, well, we recorded the call, right?
Yeah, the call is recorded. I mean, I'll upload it after this. We'll post it in the page. I've got notes here. I need to transcribe them, but I can. I don't know if, like, maybe what I'll do is I'll just create a Google Doc that we can keep running, like have it with our, you know, I'll put the date in our notes that we talked about, so everybody's that participating knows that. And then let's maybe schedule another call. I don't know if we want to do another one next week, and
I think we should
really be on point. Like, you guys will keep these to, the goal is like 30-minute planning sessions. I know this was really long, but like, I think we'll have more detail once we invite the people we want. We can start delegating somebody to open the group, getting what materials do we want in there. The hardest part is just going to be like, what are let's choosing 5 to 7 topics that we want to cover and like really thoroughly go over, plus also our tracking systems. But I like the idea of us just using the tools we already have. Like, let's not give them something new to make it complicated. Like, this is the business activity tracker. This is what you should be using. I think we get too far away from what they should just already be doing, right?
I also love the team idea. I think we need to do that. We need to group them as soon as we get them. We'll create an Excel spreadsheet that only we see, and we'll put them into teams, and we'll try to separate them so it's not like all of Gina's coaches on one team. They're all separated. We'll have like team numbers, like 14 teams or however many teams we have.
Yeah, or we can talk about that too. Like, maybe you want to mentor your 5 people, right? And like take the stuff. I mean, I don't know, maybe we should.
I think we should definitely mentor our own people. I plan on having mine in like a Voxer type of a thing. But I think the teams is great too, because my coaches, even though I might have 5 coaches, they'll be on 5 separate teams learning from
creating success
other people, but also,
right?
Yeah, maybe they'll create a success partnership through this, you know, like, I think that would be great. Also, think about a name for this group. I know that that's like not really important, but to start branding the group and talking about it, like, I was just, as we were talking with stories that stick, like diamonds that stick, because you don't just want to become a diamond, you want to actually stick, and we're reading stories that stick. So maybe like something along those lines.
Yeah. And Gina, I agree. You know, like, I think it's really easy for us to stay in our little comfort zones, right? We don't grow there. All right. I'm writing down what Missy just wrote there too. Because I'm going to try, you guys, I'm like the worst note taker too. So I'm just putting that out there. 7 in me. It's like, I don't want to miss out on all this time together. Takes no notes. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. I will, I'll get this call uploaded. Let's plan to reconvene again next week. Let's think of a name for sure. I really want to avoid words like push, sprint, personally, growth, internship, like something that implies that they're working, I think is good, but I don't know. I think I'm just like have scars from the words sprint and, which I need to just let go of probably.
I love the word stick, because we're using that, and they have to have that mentality of like not just becoming diamond and then like
diamond strong.
Diamond strong, right?
And I think that, you know what I want to do too, like I know somebody put on here the diamond roadmap. I would like to see if we can fix that, so we, rather than just like, I know diamond is what diamond is, but like we don't really want them just like skin of their teeth diamonds, right? Like that's stressful.
Yeah, we almost need like buffers, like 2 extra on each side.
Like,
that is
diamond
like
should really be 10, at least 10 coaches, and working towards 2 emeralds on each side, right? Like, so then every week you're not like holding your breath when somebody goes inactive. Like I know how that felt, and I know how that feels for my coaches, and it feels bad when you're like about to lose rank, you know?
And that
Yeah.
could be
We all were
part of
there.
one of the topics that
Yeah.
we talk about, is like, not just, this group is not just about becoming diamond. This group is about becoming and
It's hard.
staying diamond.
Yeah, and that holding, and I think being transparent about that is important for them to know. Like, I always tell my coaches, like when they go diamond, like, okay, like now that you're here, it's going to be a little rocky for the next couple months because you're growing from here, right? But we can't sit, or else it's going to be really scary and bumpy and turbulent. So like, you got to keep moving. But I think it is important for us to share our stories, right? Like, I remember checking my office every week and being like, oh, there's another one inactive. Like, it was like a puzzle. And then you're building your spouse and, you know, all those things. So, okay. But yeah, like in a nurturing, I think if they know that we've all been there before and all felt that, it helps them know they're not going to be alone when they feel it too. And it's normal. Anyway, all right, let's go, guys. Sorry. I keep talking.
All right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you in the group. Get your form made, get your people invited.
Yep. Good night, guys.
Night.
Bye.